Okay, this is section 6.3. We're learning how to graph a line using intercepts. What are the intercepts? Weston.
The y-intercept is when it crosses the point is directly with the y line, and the x-intercept is when it's on the x line.
Excellent, yeah. So here would be, if this is your line, an example, there's your y-intercept, and there's your x-intercept. Okay, so we're going to learn how to graph using those two. Obviously, if we have 2 points, right, then we know it's a straight line, then we can just connect the dots and we'll have our line. All right, Joanne loves reading. She has $48 to spend on her favorite used bookstore. She likes comic books, which cost $4 each, and novels, which cost $6 each. What combinations of comic books and novels can Joanne buy? All right, so how can we understand the meaning of intercepts of a linear graph? So if Joanne buys only comic books and no novels, how many can she buy? So we know comic books cost $4 up here. Okay, and she's got $48. If she has $48, Sal, and she can only spend them on comic books, which cost $4, how can you find out how many comic books she could buy?
You do 48 divided by 4.
Excellent, yeah. 48 divided by 4, which is?
12.
Very good, yeah.
Quick math, too.
So she can buy 12 comic books. If Joanne could only buy novels, and they cost $6, Matthew, behind Sal, how many could she buy?
8.
All right, sounds good. Let X be the number of comic books, let Y be the number of novels. Write each combination in steps 1 and 2 as an ordered pair. So, X is the number of comic books, and Y is the number of novels. So, if in the first situation she can only buy comic books, and that's X, what is the first point going to be? Max.
The first one's going to be 12, 0.
Yes, good. So our first point would be 12, 0. And then our second point, Tyler?
11 and 7.
No. So the first point was talking about comic books. We could only buy 12. Tyler? The second point's talking about novels, which is the Y. And they said we could buy 8. So what point would that be?
So it would be 0 and 8.
Yes, good. Everybody understand this so far? Any questions? All right. Why is shaking so much? What the hell?
It's not the camera, it's the projector.
Is it?
Yeah, the page is staying the same with the bottom line.
That's weird. Why would the projector be shaking? There's nobody above us.
This is how our lesson
Hey, Ray.
My vibration was I could feel your vibration.
Should we have it
All right, number 4. Plot the ordered pairs from step 3 on a graph. Join the points with a straight line. So, here's our mini graph. Let's do it right here. We have 12 zeros. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And we have 0, 8. 1, 2, 3. 7, 8. Okay, there's our line. This is You guys see that? All right. There's our graph. These are, Y is what? Novels? And these are comics. 5A. If Joanne buys a combination of comic books and used novels, what combinations can she buy? Ooh. Michael.
Are the used novels like any less? Like, is it like still $6? Or at least-
Yeah, it's still $6.
For novels.
So he's doing it in his head, right? That's tough. It's tricky. You'll get a couple answers, but Alex.
I think she can get 4 comics and 3, sorry, there's 12 and she can get 6 novels and 4 comics.
Okay, you're also doing it in your head. So let's see if that's right. So 6 novels, right? So 6 times 6 is 36. So 48 minus 36 is what we would have left, is 12. Divided by 4 for comics. So 3 comics and 6 novels. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, you're still kind of doing it in your head. Tim.
8 comics and 2 novels.
8 comics would cost 4, 32,
Wait, no.
and you'd have 48 minus 32 is 16. No, that wouldn't work. Tyler.
So could you just look at your graph and look at your line? And then
Yeah, exactly.
match it with that line?
Yeah, you could take this graph
So just see.
and any point on this graph will tell you a different combination of comics and novels that you could buy. Okay, so assuming I did this on graph paper, I could get really accurate and easy numbers here. Remember, now there's not going to be, you know, for every even number of comic books, you're not going to get an even number of novels, right? So you won't always have these points cross an intersection on the graph, but you'll want to choose those points where you can clearly see the line passing through an intersection point between the X and the Y, and that'll give you a point. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. AJ.
Would it matter if you put the comic books on the y-axis and the novels on the x-axis?
No, you'd get the same answers, yeah. Okay? The graph would look a little different, but all the points on the line would give you the same results, okay? All right. Explain how you found these combinations. So we looked at different points on the line. That's how we found them, okay? As opposed to I did it in my head, okay, which was what we started to do, all right? That's what we're looking for. Reflect, look at the graph. Explain how you can use the graph to discover combinations that work. Okay, we just did that. B, you must be careful when using a linear model. In this situation, the point 3/2, 7 has no meaning even though it's on the line. Why not? Hint, what does X represent? So we just talked about this. You can't have a non-integer value for comic books. You can't have 3.5 or 1.5 comic books. Technically could, but you get in trouble for keep ripping them, right? You know, the guy in the store would be like, no, stop that. Right? So that's the reason why. You want to make sure that point on the line crosses through an intersection point with an even number, okay? Identify 2 other points that are on the line but have no meaning. Explain why they have no meaning. Oh, sorry. Any 2 other points on this line that have no meaning? What would they be? The same logic, Christian.
Well, any fraction that has, I mean, any like x point that is a fraction, or you could go backwards and like any x point that would be negative. I cannot.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. 2 other points on the line but have no meaning. Yeah, any negative x values up here, you can't have negative comics. Any points past here, you can't have negative novels. So yeah, those would have no meaning. But also any point where either the comic or the novel is a fraction, right? That wouldn't make any sense either, okay? All right, lines can be written in many forms. Y equals negative 2/3 x plus 8. That's slope y-intercept form. Or I also call it equation of a line form. Equation of a line, and then 2x plus 3y minus 24 is standard form. And you saw on con, this is what Tyler mentioned, would have been written like this. Okay? Also considered on con to be standard form. AJ,
Can we write it like that instead of with the 0?
sure? Doesn't really matter, right? At the end of the day, they're the same, right? Both of these equations describe the same line. You could also express this line in another way. Oh, it's even there. There you go. Although this form has no special name, it's useful for graphing purposes. Okay. No special name. We're going to give it a special name called con standard form.
I just created my first equation and I'm 14, yes.
Way to go, Tyler. We are all very proud of you. Example 1, calculate intercepts. The following equation can be used to model the situation described in the investigate. 4x plus 6y equals 48. Why do you guys think we started with standard form and not equation of a line form? Joseph, why did they say this, 4x plus 6y equals 48, and not some sort of y equals mx plus b?
So they want to confuse us.
I'll give you a hint. It's why you guys do a lot of things.
Simple.
Practice?
Max?
It's easier to do.
Yeah, it's easier, right?
I thought you were gonna say this for some calculation.
No, you do it because why? Because it's easy. It was easy to come up with that. No? Do you not agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, right away we knew, we knew the comics were 4 and the novels were 6, so we were able to create this equation pretty much immediately. Sorry, it's there. Okay? We didn't have to go and find the slope on the graph and figure out what m was and do all that. We just put it down right away. Okay? Determine the x and y intercepts of the equation. So how would we do that? Yeah.
Well, I guess to find the x-intercept, for y, 6y, we'd apply 0 to it.
Yeah, to find the, sorry, it's the opposite, right? To find the y-intercept, we apply x equals 0. To find the x-intercept, we apply y equals 0, right? And the reason why is because at x equals 0, we're going to hit the y, right? And at y equals 0, we're going to hit the x. All right? So that's all we're doing here. To find the y-intercept, the x-intercept, the value of y is 0. So we plug in 0 for y. Okay, and we get x equals 12. To find the y-intercept, we know the x value is 0, so we plug in 0 for x, and we get y equals 8. Any questions there? Any questions with this math? Very simple. Christian.
So if you weren't going to do it in like con standard form, we did it like the other way where it would equal 0, would it be 4x plus 6y minus 48 equals 0?
Yes. And you would have got the same answer, right? Because eventually you would have moved the 48 away to isolate for the x or the y, right? All right, next we say plot, use the intercepts to graph the line. So there's the graph much better than I could draw. And now we'll show you guys some values. So I can't remember who it was, but we said one of them that was right was 3 comics and 6 novels. Yeah, I'm going to fix it. So 3 comics and 6 novels somebody did in their head. I think it was Alex. 3 comics. Comics are here, and 6 novels. See that point right there? Bam. See how it worked out perfectly? That's 3, 6. Okay, see how nice this graph is? So another point I would pick, it would be right here. And this is 6 comics and 4 novels. 6 times 4 is 24. Plus 4 times 6 is 24. 24 and 24, 48. See that? So any point where it crosses evenly, right here, would be 9, 2. 9 comics, 2 novels. 2 novels is $12. 48 minus 12 is 36. 36 divided by 4 is 9. Any questions there? Okay, there's our nice graph. You can use this graph to find other points. There we go. Be careful when using a linear model. In this example, the point 11 2/3 is on the line but has no meaning. Why not? Hint, what does y represent? This represents novels. Therefore, no meaning. Any questions on this stuff so far? Okay. Example 2. For each linear relation, determine the x and y intercepts. How do we find the x and y intercepts? Justin? No, right here. Yeah.
You could just substitute x or y with 0.
Yes, that's it. And then solve for the other variable. Okay, very good. So that's all we're doing in the first one. We're substituting y equals 0 to get the x-intercept. So we get 3.5. Right, y is 0, 3.5. Same thing for b. We're going to substitute y is 0, get negative 5. Let's finish off a. To solve for the y-intercept, we substitute x equals 0. You guys understand that, right? Like to find the y, we have to substitute x equals 0. Okay. So there we get our y-intercept. Then we have 2 points. There's this point and this point. And then we just plot them on their respective axes and then draw the line. That's it. Okay. Same thing for b. Substitute in 0. Get negative 5. Substitute in 0. Get positive 3. Really, the only way you can mess this up is if you confuse the x and the y-intercepts. That's why it's really important to understand, to get the y-intercept, you got to sub in x equals 0. To get the x-intercept, you got to sub in y equals 0. Okay, Joseph?
Can you move up a little bit so I show you something? No, like, other way. Yeah, if you already have negative y equals 7, why do you have to divide it by negative 1? Both sides by negative 1.
Because you have to find a y.
Negative y equals 7?
Yeah, why can't you just leave it like that?
Because you don't want to know negative y, you want to know what y is, positive y.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, you're always solving, Joseph, for the positive variable value. Okay? So yeah, you have to divide by the negative 1, so this changes to negative 7. A better question would have been, why does this say positive 7 here? That should be negative 7 right there, right? Right down here? Okay, that's a mistake.
So you should send them a note.
We gotta sort them out.
Any other questions? Joseph, you got to practice that a little more, okay? The algebra, just with rearranging and dividing. Everything else you're good at. That you need to practice a bit more, okay? No other questions there? Matthew, how do you get the y-intercept?
By substituting x for 0.
You're right, you got it. Example 3, find the slope using the intercepts. Determine the slope of the line whose x-intercept is negative 4 and y-intercept is negative 6. Alex, how would we do this?
But
How would we find the slope if we're given the intercepts?
you do y2 minus y1 is x2 minus x1.
Yeah, and what's y2 and what's y1? Or what are the points?
Y2 is negative 6, and y1 is 0, and x2 is 0.
Good, yeah.
And x1
So basically, these intercepts will give you your point. So your x-intercept is negative 4. That means your point is negative 4, 0, and your y-intercept is negative 6. So that point is 0, negative 6. Does everybody understand that? Point 1, point 2. Doesn't matter which one I call point 1 and point 2. As long as I'm consistent, if I call this point 2, this has to be y2, this has to be x2. Got to be consistent. Okay? So then, yeah, I can find my slope by using that formula. y2, I'm going to call this point 2. negative 6 over positive 4, negative 3 over 2. Okay, exactly what they did here. Okay, they actually didn't use y2 minus y1. They graphed it, and then they counted the squares. Oh, here they used y2 minus y1. Yeah, I prefer the algebra, right? It's easier. Nicholas.
In the test, can we use either?
Yeah. Unless I specify. Unless I say use this method. Typically, I don't. Finally, key concepts. The x and y-intercept. X is the coordinate of the point where the line crossed the x-axis. At this point, y is equal to 0. So here, see how this applies? Here's our x-intercept. What's the y value? Go back, it's 0. That's why we sub in 0 for y to get the x. Same thing, y-intercept. What's your x value? It's right on 0. Okay? That's why we plug in x equals 0 to find the y. Tyler.
Let's say something's undefined or 0, how would you plot that point for the like x-axis? If something's undefined.
What do you mean? Give me an example.
If the line's going this way, right? You have an x. You have a point for x, right? And then like you have a point for x because it's undefined. But what I'm trying to say is, what would the points be for the y coordinates?
There isn't one. No, it never touches y. So this example here, so this is what you're referring to, right? Here's y and here's x. This would have an x-intercept, x equals 3. So our x-intercept would be 3, 0. There would be no y-intercept.